For if a great many people don't quickly and radically reverse their lives, and no, I'm not talking Boy Scout recycling efforts. I'm talking about the gearing up in an urgency that would need to be far greater than that of the last World War. I call this apocalypse emergency. I call it like trillion alarm fire call that nobody's responding to. It would be far greater, the effort and the urgency, than as we were gearing up to the last World War. It has far greater consequences. How can it not be seen that that Holocaust will seem a tea party alongside what's coming? But it is not warriors we need. That's part of the problem. We do need people as disciplined and caring, not just of their buddies, but of all life, human and non-human, of all creation, that God in His, her great love for us and all life masterfully crafted, slowly, carefully, meticulously over near eternity. This incredible planet, as finely balanced, perfect, precise, and wondrous and beautiful in infinite ways, precisely moving in perfect, harmonious, exquisite synchronicity of infinite living elements through the seasons, over the years, languorous and slow, and allowing for a plenitude of experience, of possibilities for joyous play, exuberant and bountiful, youthful sense of power, pride, and longing. For all creatures, an infinite number of them, each of them single individual, sharing with us this possibility of joy, wonder, happiness, laughter, pain, grief, wisdom. This divine adventure, taken by so many humans even, each doing their best between the poles of the monstrous and the angelic, creating in the end, whatever the outcome, lives as different, as unique, and as incomparable as any one snowflake to another. And all the while, surrounded from birth, breathing divine, God always so close you can't see, but in every little thing pushing you to the exquisite, slow, painful, then wonderful unfolding into greater and greater wisdom, goodness, love, truthfulness, and loving of truth, no matter how long it takes or even lifetimes. Slowly, slowly, turning, expanding, flowing ever outward and wider, encompassing surrounds of wisdom and love, no matter how long it takes. And on the way, the dawnings of blissful openings of being, leaving the darkness of pain and ignorance more and more at our roots. Just as the lotus grows out of the muck of the dirty swamp, feeding on that muck for sustenance, just as our hardships, mistakes, even our cruelties, lead us in time that much more beautifully and committedly loving of love, of goodness, of God, and our eyes ever more aware of the beauty always there, but more and more radiant as the darkness slowly dissipates. And the lotus reaches its tender shoot higher and higher into the murky water, it too, in time becoming increasingly aware of light that is above, and that the darkness is more and more in behind it, until, just as we, there is that moment of arriving on the water surface, feeling and breathing, being free, and so joyous, blissful, and understanding of the marvelous, divine perfection of the experience, even when it seems hopeless, just as we, and in gratitude and glory, the lotus unfolds its perfect, delicate joy in the expressions of joy that are the splendid, beauteous, aromatic creations that we call its many petals. But for the lotus it is a song of gratitude. As much as our unfolding may open our heart, so deliciously loving and alive, that we must sing to God, to love, to the consciousness that is the only existing thing, and equally coursing this wondrous way throughout all creation. Lotus, human, in the loving ministrations of all God's creatures toward each other, as we feel the attraction of like to like, of divine to divine. And would this wonderful, incredibly sweet sound of God's life in us and around us, harmonizing over billions, over years, and to the end of the universe, the chorus of the divine, the harmony of the spheres, this grand, often dramatic and percussive symphony, the only reality, the only one really desired, the home of all whose sound is even telling you it is home, where one belongs, where one loves and is loved, and dualism, non-dualism are irrelevant. For equally delightful are the movements of this endless, ever-changing symphony, which must be separate and forgetful, and also awake, and one for the sheer beauty of it, the sheer pleasure of remembering again the most wonderful truth of oneself, and then maybe again. Now, of such possibilities and perceptions are the expanses outside one's skin, as one's identity is not merely that within the gushing palpitation below the skin, but expands to include spouse, family, children, others, all creatures, all beings, known and unknown, with malice toward no one. As such unity is our food, our destination, our bliss, our home. Oh, so sad, and yet tender, and beautiful, and juicy. We take our prodigal souls ever home, and more, recognizing our brothers and sisters on the way, delighting in the exquisite separation that we will continue to enjoy until ready to release, let go, like a swimmer letting go of the side of the pool, to sink deep into the crystal water, where it is then, the water is then all the universe to the swimmer. All the universe that swimmer experiences, and then the swimmer becomes aware that he or she is just as much of it as in it, and slowly, delightfully then, just not conceiving of any boundaries, and the swimmer disappears. Slowly, delightfully, through just not conceiving of any boundaries, the swimmer disappears. To those still holding on to the delightful game of pretending that there is any such thing, as boundaries, as nations, as bodies. Fun, that game of thingness, for a while, for it is just a game. A made-up, concocted set of parameters, boundaries, and rules that we sit down on a pleasant Sunday afternoon to play, to enjoy the amazingly creative plays, humorous remarks, and outright belly-whomping, creative utterances that our playmates entertain with, and we enjoy also performing as things we do and say come so perfectly from, well, it's just there. We just are. We can't help but be. And we're, whether irritated or laughing uproariously, or snickering secretively as we plan our next play, in sweet anticipation of the reactions, surprise, befuddlement, or knowing smiles from another, this is all unknown and to be discovered. So who would spoil such fun by ever letting on, even or especially to oneself, that it is all known? There is no separation. Why, we even might enjoy it more if we allow ourselves to suppose the stakes are real, at which point we know we have taken the wondrous forgetfulness game of humanness. One only does that to enjoy the sweetest waking of all, that from the soundest and undisturbed of all possible dreamings. However you conceive it, though, however you conceive it, you needn't buy my reverie. In fact, how could you? Though you and I could be mirrors to each other, it is the absolute knowing that we cannot be the same snowflake. No, you have your world and your unique way of enjoying sweet